Chronicles TV on air. We are now live in 3, 2, 1.
How to use the reagent that we got. The poison's in the pan. Oh yes, I stopped the Englishwoman. It's the very fact that proves I'm innocent. Because why would I even bother to stop the woman if I already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl and the pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat. If the courts weren't going to punish Brett for what she did, someone else would have to see justice done. So you admitted then that everything happened as I described. That you are the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the read screen. Huh? You can blame this miserable country of ours? A country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and let murderers walk free? What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Slap bang in the middle of the charming lady's back, I plunged the blade of sweet justice right in there. So he admits? As someone who spends his life seeing that truth is told, I feel really awful about giving false information in my testimony before, but as it turns out, there was somebody else who had it in for the victim and got to her before me. That's right, you guessed it. That pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart. You're implicating Ray again? She's the one who gave the poison to the Englishwoman and ended her pitiful existence. And suddenly, snap! This journal here is off the hook. The argument is sound, certainly. If the witness had administered the poison herself, he need only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently, stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical. And therefore, this report had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical. That's right, it is. Logical and true. I'm glad you all see the light. Now teach her how to use the reagent. Justice at last! This is unbelievable. And after I made so much progress in proving his guilt, is he going to get away with it now? Think Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san. They never stopped looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel. Very well done, counsel. Proceed with what I assume to be the final cross-examination in this trial. Yes, Your Excellency. Okay, now teach us how to use the reagent. Because we have the reagent for a reason. We have 4. Okay, now teach us how to use the reagent thing. The pen was there for a reason. I want to use the reagent on this thing. That's all I want to do. Wait. Now let's unscrew the barrel, shall we? What? Oh, what do we have here? This must be a little reservoir to hold the ink. Yes, you fill it by drawing ink from the bottle up through the nib. Is something wrong, Father? It just doesn't actually appear to be any ink in there, that's all. Yes, you're right, it's pretty much empty. Well, it could be on the verge of running out, I suppose. No, I have the right idea. I know where it was. Now teach us how to use this damn thing. Because it's just there for a damn reason. Just teach us how to use it. I think what we have to do is press for more. Because why would I have bothered to stop the woman? When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer again, it got my goat. If the courts were going to punish Brett for what she did, someone else would have to see justice done.
Hold it!
So you admit that you murdered your murderous intentions towards Miss Brett then? Ha! A woman's very existence offended my sense of justice. Your sense of... He's claiming some sort of righteous indignation? She was pure evil, a cold-blooded killer who committed murder right here on the Empire soil. But did our good-for-nothing government do anything? Not a chance, so I had to step in. fly the flag of justice, put things right for the people. Yes, it was my civic duty. That's what drove me to do it. So, in summary, murderous intentions then? Whatever you want to call it. The point is this. The English woman was a blight, so I had to do what was right for society. Yet a real wrong was done by the student girl and the dog, a crime for which she must pay. Obviously, because the poisoning was nothing to do with me at all. Because why would I bother to stop the woman if I already poisoned her? So you still maintain that you didn't give the poison to the victim? Obviously, that'd be putting a belt on your trousers when you're already wearing braces like these. The accused administered the poison, following which the witness stabbed the victim. An unforgivable act, certainly, but not one of murder. The crime rests on the accused's shoulders. That is how the law works, you see, yokel? Who knows, you may even learn something here today. 2 consecutive attempts on her life in the space of 2 minutes. Quite a day for the victim. Do something that evil and you got it coming. That's how the law works. The law of reckoning. That's not that kind of law that this court upholds. You will reiterate what you were compelled to stab the victim then, witness? When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, it got my go. Hold it! What exactly were they arguing about? About what happened in the restaurant 9 months ago. That's what. The student girl was laying into the English woman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson. Yes, John H. Wilson, professor of medicine, invited her from England by Professor Bikotoba, no less. Right. But the English woman just jeered. Her case was to be heard by the British Consular Court in Shanghai, however. There's little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted, sent back to her homeland as a free woman. It was eating the student girls up inside, you see. I really felt for her. Who? The Flash? I can't. I can't stand here and listen to this tripe. Ray! Young girl, you stand accused here. You can't just blurt out whenever you like. No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen. But this awful man is making all this up. Sasato, please, you have to listen. Return to the dock at once, Membami-san. We are in the middle of a cross-examination. Your Excellency, please, I implore you. That journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness. Exactly. He's filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigot, and a peeping Tom. Whoa, take it easy there. Please, I really think the court should hear what the defendant has to say. Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused's remarks. I will grant the request of defense. But, Your Excellency! This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, well as recognizing the contraventions regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak. Oh! Thank you very much, Your Excellency. So we add her to this. It was nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. We were discussing the stolen poison. If the courts were going to punish, blah blah. Hold it! The stolen poison that killed the victim, you mean? I suspected her of being one to steal it. I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson. That's true. Additionally, Miss Brett certainly had knowledge of the new poison. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all the visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if the thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or the colleague, getting the poison out would be difficult. That's true. I pestered Professor Bikotoba until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited the laboratory. But as I left, I was searched from top to tail. Miss Fred rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we've been developing, you see? And since the Seki-san expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance. I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singularly terrible experience with deadly poison. I want to look for my old enemy in the eye. Surely you can understand that. To find out if my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her that if there were to be an incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't just be the university. The military would be dragged into it. The whole government even. It would be complete disaster. How did Miss respond to your concern? She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually. Ah, yes. Many Memo-san. One small question if you don't mind. I do mind. Can't you see I'm busy? Clearly you were outside the beach hut listening and well as the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably then, it was you who wrote this article about what you heard? Exclusive, deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. The story was published in this morning's edition of Shoyu News. The details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else. Huh? Sorry, don't know what you're talking about. Yes, look at this. The entire article. It's almost what I said to Miss Brett, word for word. Well, Many Memo-san? As a journal, and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. That's a founding principle of Many Memo-san. Waters clearly right about this. That reporter did write the article, and he based it on what he overheard from outside the hut. So that's what it was all about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with the stinking story about me arguing with her. Shut up! My stories never stink. Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say. And I want to go on the record. Very well, you may amend your formal testimony. The point is, if you poison someone, there would be no reason to go ahead and stop the person well. Is that what he said? When I heard the certain girl, blah, blah, that's good. The point is, if you just poison someone, there would be no reason to go in and stab the person as well. Perhaps you doubted the efficacy of the poison and sought to make sure the victim would die. The horse dung! What? That would be like pouring pepper on your Chinese ramen before you even taste it. Completely reckless. Although it might surprise you to learn that I am a bit of an impetuous pepper power, as it happens. Once the victim had taken the poison, she would have been only minutes away from death. And yet, this man then proceeded to stab her in the back as well. There has to be a good reason for that. If it was the reporter who gave the poison to Miss Brett, then clearly he must have done it prior to Ray entering the hut. Yes, that's undeniable. But between him leaving the hut and the victim being stabbed, there was one very crucial change in the situation. Sorry? What change? The reporter overheard the conversation between Ray and the English woman. Ah, yes, that's it. That's when Many Memo-san first found out the exact nature of the poison he used. That could be the key here. If the victim had unwittingly taken the poison already, the reporter would have no reason to stab her. On the face of it, that logic sounds entirely reasonable. But there's no question that this man was responsible for Miss Brett's murder. If we could think of a plausible explanation as to why he might have stabbed her even after the poisoning, I feel sure that everything would drop into place. Yes, I agree, and in order to do that, I must try to glean more information. What was updated? Deadly poison segregate used blah blah. Even the smallest amount entering the body inserted via mouth or via wound for the poison laid would provide fatal in minutes. Current methods cannot detect deadly weapon. The university would have consulted. Onset symptoms occurs amid starting to impair breathing, blah 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 blah. Following the lecture is by suspecting on 11, it's come to light that very distant blah blah deadly poison blah blah. What was updated? The reporter based it on information he gleaned by eavesdropping. Okay, we use the regent now. That's all there is. I stabbed the Englishwoman and wait, we go back. I stabbed the Englishwoman and it's cracked that proves I'm innocent. Because why would I have bothered to stop the woman if I already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl and the Pompous English murder arguing, it got my goat. It was nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. We were discussing the stolen poison. The point is, if you poison someone, there'd be no reason then and go stab the poison as well. If you poison someone, there'd be no reason to go and stab the poison as well.
Hold it!
I don't know at this point. So you admit that you had murderous intention, huh? Your sense of, oh, I already did this. No, I didn't. I didn't do it. When sorry, murderous intentions at the end. Whatever you want to call it. The point is, it was blood. Yeah, I think I already did this. Yeah, I already did it. We started out small and then it just came from one thing to another. When I heard the student girl and the pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat. It has nothing to do with Dr. Woods. We're discussing the stolen poison. The point is, if you poison someone, there would be no reason to go and stab the poison as well. What am I missing here? What am I missing? Point is, if you poison someone, I mean, how did the pen get over there in the first place is the question. You never did answer that. When I heard the student go, he got my gun. But why would I bother to stop the woman if I already poisoned her? Oh, come on, that's not what I meant! Oh my god. Get over there. I'm gonna try something right now. Present!
Objection!
Nope. That's not it, Chief. That's not what I'm thinking of. I got like one or two, three things going on. The point is, if you did poison someone, there would be no reason to go then and stab the person as well. What I want to press, when I heard the student girl in the pompous English murder, it got my go.
Objection!
Nope. Because I have no reason to back it up at this point. We already interrogated all the freaking scenes that I know to my best of my ability.
Objection!
Okay, I had the right idea, but not the right freaking thing. Got it. Well, I can think of one reason. What? Well, before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. Did you glean all the information for this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut? Of course he did. There should be no question of that. After all, when we were all in the laboratory together, all we were told is that it was a terrible toxin. And there's one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Membami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison into Miss Brett's drink.
Objection!
Where are you going with this, counsel? Manny Memo-san has made it quite clear that he observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. If the defendant had somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it. Which means that Miss Brett couldn't have imbibed the poison while the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Membami-san entered the hut. Yes, very articulately put.
When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison. At which point, Memo-san overheard some worrying information. Worrying information? What worrying information? The information which he subsequently included in his newspaper article, namely, that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy, and that it couldn't be readily obtained.
Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could have from is my lab.
And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs in death. The extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would have been clear the victim's life had ended by the use of the particular poison, which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people.
Everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. Membami-san being no exception.
Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered the unique poison to the victim was a layperson unaware of its telltale properties. In other words, someone like you writes a memo? It was you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day, and it was you who administered it to the unwitting victim. But you quickly realized that was a terrible mistake, because the poison caused such unusual symptoms and was traceable. As you listen in far side of the beach hut, thin walls, you learned of these facts. But you'd already given the victim the poison at that point. It was too late, so you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involves stabbing the victim in the back through the reed screen.
Objection!
But what good possibly do? Isn't it obvious, Counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect.
Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction. When he had to hope to precipitate the victim's death before that happened, hadn't he?
Exactly. Because without any revealing signs of the new secret poison used, no one would have suspected.
This is extraordinary.
Yes, the effects of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use, which he attempted to by plunging a knife into the middle of the victim's back.
Where did he even get a knife? Was he even prepared for it? Order! The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied that it warrants consideration. Does the prosecution have a counter-argument it wishes to point forward?
Well, there are a number of... yes, I counter completely.
Objection!
The prosecution evasive response clearly shows that in much the same way as he nurtures the remnants of his top knot, he is clinging to lost hope. Lost hope?
Hold it.
He threw the hat. He's serious.
You're pathetic, useless, fallen samurai.
Fallen? Who are you calling fallen? You buggering Joe. I don't need a counter-argument. What are you talking about? It should be blatantly obvious.
I stole the poison, you say? Gave it to the victim, you say? Stab her, you say? Lots of fine theories.
But I don't need a counter-argument because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? Yes, you make it all sound so plausible, don't you? But without evidence, it means nothing. Whereas I base my news on facts.
Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself.
I mean what the professor said earlier this trial. It's all here in my many memos. Every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted. That's what the Shoyu News is for. The power of the printed word. But surely it was no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. It
was difficult for a reason, and he slid it somewhere else. How's that then? Blow the story wide open? I see. See, I, writes a memo, a mere reporter from the New Shoyu News, couldn't possibly have stolen the poison from the professor's laboratory.
But there can't be any question of it. He must have stolen the poison that day he stole it, and used it to kill. If that's the case,
As you identified, the poison itself is a definite evidence we need, because whoever stole it from the laboratory that day, the true culprit is here. What's your point, you annoyingly handsome country bumpkin? The point is this: there is one way that you, Many Memo-san, could have stolen the poison that day. I have heard enough verbal conjecture now, thank you. What the coin must be shown is evidence. What proof do you have that witness stole the poison on the day in question? Let's go! The proof, Your Excellency, is this fountain pen. A fountain pen? How can that possibly be relevant? These magical pens somehow seem to have enough ink to write many thousands of kanji characters. I believe they arrived in our country for the first time some 15 years ago now. Bah, I swear, by a weasel hair calligraphy brush and nothing else, these newfangled pens are merely a fad. Well, that's a forward-thinking man of words. Obviously, I love my fountain pen. Suck up, pump. Whoa, ho, ho. Okay. That's right. Fountain pens have a small reservoir in the barrel, into which ink is sucked up through the nib of the pen in order to write with later. What does all this sucking up ink have, huh? And just as it's possible to suck ink up in the reservoir, it's also possible to inject it through the nib again, of course. My word! Can this really be? Well, Many Memo-san? And if he denies it, we have the regent. When you saw the deadly poison before your eyes in the laboratory that day, you used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you? By siphoning the poison up to the nib and into the pen's reservoir. Then he's gonna ask for proof, and that's where we have the regent. More absurdity. That never happened. True, we've heard that there were procedures in place to prevent thefts like this. Laboratory? Well, would anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen of all places? No, I'm a little ashamed to say that for fear of offending our guests, such detailed search would not have been conducted. Well, this is quite startling, I must say. I remind the court that this pen was found in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by the Many Memo-san. So the crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped? Are you suggesting? The natural conclusion is that in your haste to act well as the victim was distracted for a moment, you dropped the pen after you emptied the poison into her glass.
Objection!
There could have been any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have been using his pen to write down details of the conversation with the victim. And when shocked by one of her outrageous answers, the pen fell from the quivering hand.
Objection!
No, that can't be. If it was, how do you explain why the pen was devoid of ink? What? As you can see for yourself, if you examine the evidence, there would appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. What newspaper reporter goes to interview someone with nothing in his pen? No, the pen was dropped after the poison that filled its reservoir has been emptied into the victim's glass. Witness, what do you have to say in defense? We have the regent for proof. Ah, so this is how our modern justice system works, is it? So what if the ink is in my pen runs dry? So what if my pencil snaps? Uh-oh. I can always claw my way back to the game. I have plenty in reserve. Count Bailiff? Seize this man at once? You claim I sucked the poison into my pen? That's wild speculation, nothing more. If you thought you could bring down my fine, upstanding citizen with a trick like that, think again. It looks as though it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish the matter. As I see, the situation is now very simple. It rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day in question. And Therefore, it all depends upon whether or not the defense can prove that he did with evidence. No evidence such could possibly exists. Many Memo-san, this is our modern justice system works. What? In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember, because we all well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you. Very well, then. I call upon the defense to present the aforementioned evidence. This is it, Dan. This will be the final piece of puzzle. The defense can prove by means of the item that it was the witness pen that was used to steal the poison.
Take that!
Counsel, what is this bottle? This bottle contains the unique chemical region that can identify the poison in question. Yes, the poison is an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by the colleagues and I. It would be impossible to detect traces of it by any other method. Or from another perspective. Simply with this chemical reagent, anybody at all could check for traces of the poison. Reagent? What? One drop of the content of this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen, Memo-san, is all it will take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt. You can't. I won't. Your crimes are bad enough, but at least you know when to admit defeat. Your Excellency, defense requests permission to carry out the test on the fountain pen at once. Arrest this man. Oh, there goes his camera. This isn't my fault. The Empire drove me to this, trying to hold its head as a high civilized nation, but bowing to it, blah, blah, blah. I took on blah, 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 blah. It's all fast. Righteous Memoism, blah, blah. Many Memoism. Susato, with me. I'm there. That's Susato and Ray takedown. Did I do it right? That was a Susato takedown, wasn't it? Not quite. That was a Ryutaro takedown. The instant the first drop of the reagent touched the nib of the fountain pen, it was clear to everyone present. When I saw it there in the lab, the poison, the veil got hold of me and I decided to do it on a whim. I excused myself and emptied all the ink down the sink in the bathroom, washing the reservoir out carefully. And then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? Into your fountain pen. Yes, that's right. Answer me one thing, Memo-san. Why did you steal it? For what purpose? Isn't it obvious? To find out what it was made of and expose it in an article. I mean, it was a secret project after all. Too juicy for a journal like me to pass up. Man, then why did the English woman end up dead? I went into the hut intending to quiz her on the situation, that's all, as a reporter. I know killer enjoying full freedom, evading justice by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it. And she just laughed in my face. Oh, what's this? A Far Eastern caveman purporting to practice journalism? Oh my. Really, you must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways, you ignorant plebeian. What did you call me? This country with its pretensions to a justice system, to a free press, it's really depressing. You see our superior ways in the West, yet you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf. Get out and crawl back into the cave you came from. Oh my. That's when I remembered about the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time. What a terrible tale. In my head, I knew I should just get out of there as quickly as possible, but I couldn't. I couldn't let her get away with what she'd done, when she clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it was my journal spirit getting all fired up. I'd like to ask you something. Yes. You often talk about justice. But surely as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver the justice you sought. There's no justice in the press. Sorry? After that trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what happened in that courtroom. And finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up. That's what it was. A cover-up? What do you mean? I would remind your position, witness. Be careful what you say. Oh, come on. Doesn't it strike you strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national. Constitutional jurisdiction should never have come into it. And yet that puff-up Englishman was going to sail away into the sunset a free woman. The only possible explanation is that behind the scenes, some deal had been gone between Britain and Japan. What sort of deal? I done my research, dug up all the dirt. It was all ready to be published. But you know what happened? The editor just tore the article up. He came under pressure from the government, you mean? If our government is going to let criminals walk free, if they're going to crush the free press, then what choice do I have but to see the justice is done myself? Let's not forget, Mini-Mamma-san, that you committed murder yourself, and you try to lay the blame on the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Brett. The truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all. I suppose. It would appear that we have reached a conclusion in this trial at last. Counsel for the defense, Ryotaro Naruhodo. Oh, yes, I am. Sorry, Your Excellency. Just musing in a manly way here. It's almost unbelievable that this is your first experience at the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. In truth, it's very much reminding me of your cousin's exploits. Oh, Naruhodo... Ryunosuke, you mean? The way he handled the trial 9 months ago and the way you handled this one, it gives me hope that we are generally entering a new era of justice in this land. That's very flattering, Your Excellency. In the defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly, that the future of your justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries. Thank you. So, Prosecutor Aoichi, do you have any final thoughts? What's with the knife? Prosecutor Aoichi? I, Takatsuchi of the Aoichi clan, have been bested by a hollow youth not once now, but twice. If there was a shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today. Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it? Silence! Here we go again. Rather than living in shame, I will end it all now with this blade. For that is the true path of altruism. Aoichi-ism? One knows that only the way he'll be modeling himself out to the witnesses. Sprig of my top knot, the time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Takatsuchi. It's supposed to be a haiku or what? It's hard to watch, not gonna lie. We pay our most respects right there. Why are you in this? Why are you here? Now, in regard to Defendant Ray Mambambi-san? Yes, Your Excellency? I have reached my final verdict. I hereby find you... not guilty. Yeah! No fireworks, but let's go! Court is adjourned.
It's over. My heart is still pounding in my chest, though. It's all I can do, just stay standing. Lawyers have such a great responsibility. Such a great burden to bear. Don't they, Naruhodo-san? Susato! Susato! Thank you so much. You were so dashing in there. Ray and Father. Honestly, I'm so touched by everything you've... No, I think I'm gonna cry. It wasn't easy, but together we... Excuse me, made it. I was on the verge of tears too at the end. The only reason I'm still here is because of you. Oh no, I can't take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. You did wonderfully, Ray. So I would have to say that congratulations belong to you. Susato, don't be so standoffish. Sorry? We're friends, equals, and the trial's over. So no more formal, super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with swagger. To throw a caution to the wind. Caution to the... What? I'm the great defense lawyer Ryutaro Naruhodo, and I'm taking you out in the milk bar tomorrow. Or something. Right, I see. I'll, think about it, Ray. At any rate, we'll really knock the wind out of the horn, man. It felt so good. Yeah, it was satisfying. It really was. Isn't there anybody else who would throw it together?
I hope you're not looking at me, Ray.
Oh my goodness. No, of course not. Of course not. There it is at last. Ray's lovely smile.
You fought for your friend to the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you. Defense attorney Ryutaro Naruhodo.
Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without your help. Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to Ryutaro, I think. I shall miss him in a way, but it's back to Sato Mikotoba now. So, I'll never see him again then? What a terrible shame. What?
What is happening?
Soseki-san and Inspector Hosonaga, I do hope you're keeping well?
Is that really you?
Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons I hope, but it's me. Susato Mikotoba.
I don't. So dashing, so divine. No. Double dashing, yes, and devilly dashing, just look at you. I had no idea, Mr. Sato-san Esquires, that you were local student Naruhodo-san Esquire's cousin. Astounding, ace attorney.
He said it. He said it. Poor Soseki-san, so confused. I still remember the first time I ever met him. He was in the prison cell in London. Sad. What an extraordinary conundrum it was that unwitting student from Japan found himself abroad in. But after Naruhodo-san's skillfully defense at the Old Bailey, Soseki-san was free to return to Japan. And now he seems to have earned himself great fame as an author.
I'm stunned. That's truly impressive disguise. Even I had no idea, and I'm a chief inspector of the police bureau, who came up with Mr. Turtle no less. I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. Can't explain the blood, that's all. Amazing, you're a woman of many faces, I see.
Just two, really, and this was a once-in-a-lifetime event, I hope. Oh, I'm not a patch on you, though, Inspector.
Well, I am professional, of course.
I do worry about Inspector Hosonaga sometimes. I really do. 9 months ago, when he appeared at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover disguised as the head waiter of the restaurant. And then onto the steamship to Great Britain, of course, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on the journey. Though that didn't help you, did it? Kazuma-sama.
From my perspective, I have to admit that I have mixed feelings about all this. I mean, now the truth has been lost forever. What do you mean? I'm talking about the murder that English woman committed at the end of the last year. Ah, yes, it was English doctor she killed, as I understand it. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes, that man I invited to Japan personally. The mystery is, why did she kill him? And now that the culprit herself is dead, we'll probably never know the answer. Tell him!
On the voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter with Mr. Sherlock Sholmes, the great detective, I mean.
Yes, I remember Mr. Sholmes well, of course. Ah, my arch nemesis. How lightly you utter his name.
Well, according to the stories published about him in The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes, a best friend. And that man was exceptionally doctor of medicine by the name of John H. Wilson. Dr. Wilson? I just completed that it's a coincidence. I think that the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. And if that's really true, then the poor girl won't ever see her beloved father again.
As you know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was the time you were born.
Yes, grandmother told me about it.
On returning to Japan, I took my professorship at the Imperial Yume University. But I also serve another role as an advisor to the government in diplomatic affairs.
Yes, I was aware of that as well.
In that case, I'm sure you understand that there are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you.
Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you send me back to Japan? It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because an urgent telegram had arrived from Japan. It said that you collapsed with a high fever and you were growing weaker by the day. What? Where did that news come from? That's what I'd like to know, because after that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health, Father. Was there something in Great Britain that you perceived might inconvenience me in some way or harm me? That's really the only explanation I could think of.
Dear me, do you reserve your most cunning glares for your father, Susato? I'm sorry, my dear, I simply can't... Oh, let me go?
Many Memo-san. So, one throw wasn't enough for you.
I've got one last thing to say before they take me away. Professor! Me? I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on, in the visiting student's fate. Visiting student? Josiah Brett, you mean? No, not her! The student of law who left for Great Britain 8 months ago!
What? Student of law? He must mean Kazuma-sama? What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with Kazuma?
Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it in England, that he died on the steamship, and that he'll never... Yo! Well, I didn't expect to find him in here. What were your officers playing at? Terribly sorry, Your Excellency. You didn't even let it finish. I was coming to tell you that the rickshaw has arrived, Eugene, and it's a good job I came by. Yes, thank you for dealing with him. I'll be there shortly.
Oh, Your Excellency.
Ha 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 ha! The trial's over. I'm not Your Excellency anymore. I'm merely your father's friend, Seishiro Jigoku. And I may say that since I saw you last, you seem to have taken on more dashing appearance. Susato?
Did you know all along from the start of the trial?
Ha 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 ha! Ajay sees everything, Susato. I could have let you take the risk if Seishiro hadn't known and that he recognized you, so I had a word in his ear beforehand as an old friend. So, Seishiro, shall we? Yes, having ruled out the case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address.
Before you go, Father.
Sorry, my dear, we shall have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date. But well done again, both of you. You did admirably.
Oh, thank you very much.
Why did you think I might say shoot you a sling, eh? It's been a while since I sent a man flying like that. Ha 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 ha.
Whatever could Father be hiding from me? About Giselle Brett and about Dr. Wilson. And now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'm going to have to bring up with Father sometime, when nobody else is around.
Judicial Assistant Mikotoba-san Esquires? Could I have a word?
Oh, yes, of course. Soseki-san, what is it?
I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you.
Oh?
I believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England.
This I have to hear. Please, Soseki-san, tell me at once.
I will. Get to the point, Chief. As you know, my time in England was terrible.
Yes, we know. Yes, we know. Such awful things are embroiled in, thank goodness, love. We already know.
After you secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on the ship back here in our homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experience to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikotoba. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report.
My father?
He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day that he sent a telegram to you asking you to return to Japan.
What was it, then? The particular part my father was interested in.
I don't really know exactly. But do you remember them? Those two terrible cases I was caught up in?
I only remember one. Of course, I could never forget.
Your father seemed to concern himself mainly with the second case.
I only know your first one. The second one? You mean the Mr. Sholmes forbade any of us to talk about in public?
Which is why the only case involving you that any member of the public is aware of is the first. Well, I don't care. I don't have to listen to what the deserted detective says. Anyway, the point is, it seems that case someone holds the key to all these curious unanswered questions. That the horrific, hideous, heinous case. The case of the haunted lodgings.
Huh? That case someone caused my father to summon me urgently back to Japan? I thought the whole business was over, but it seemed I was wrong. Perhaps that was the only start. Perhaps the story is not yet told.
Are we talking about where his residence was at? Alrighty then. Here we go again.
So, the mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness. And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san. But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter. I met Soseki-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in. Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again. Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again. Yours, Susato.
So I'm assuming the next chapter we will go to a flashback as to what happened to Craziness Guy, to Soseki-san, because we only know about the first one. I don't know about the second one though. So I'm assuming that's what the next chapter is about, and then the third one we go to the prison day. Like, comment, subscribe. Shotgun69. I'm signing out.